Greetings, comic friends. It is time for a TGIW. Uh, a humbling TGIW. It's coming a little bit later than usual for good reason, because I had a lot of stuff to read. It had to happen eventually. Things would catch up. I could only enjoy those little small weeks for so long, but something like this is going to happen. And there's I think somewhat excusable reasons for it, because there's some other stuff that I picked up that didn't come out this week just because I missed them. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But it did end up being a pretty heavy week for me, which I mean is going to happen. It's okay every once in a while, but it's definitely okay when everything is just an absolute joy to read, which was this week. So let me see. Only some things. The order matters. All right. So we'll start off the top here. Star Trek #7. And can't say enough. If you like Star Trek, particularly Deep Space Nine, this which is the best Trek, so you should love Deep Space Nine. This is an absolute must read. It is so good. It goes deep into. It starts to explore more the lore of the emissaries, the emissary. And his position, and the first arc was about one of these, I think it's 9 orbs that were stolen by the Klingons, and it's a very powerful one. So this is starting off like we need to find the rest of these. Some of them the location is known, some it's known like publicly, and some it's known to some, but it's kept secret. But there are, I think, 3 that the location is unknown. So after the destruction orb was stolen by the Klingons, he's like, we need to find the rest of these. We need them to be accounted for because their potential of power is immense. So that's what this arc starts off, and it takes a twist, and I'm real excited to see where that goes. The next series of Alien, the next mini arc or limited of Alien, started with #1. This is so good. I mean, they've all been good. I think different varying levels of good, but this one in particular, this first issue, is awesome. I cannot wait to see where this goes. So this is in the future. I mean, obviously it's in the future, but it's in the. It takes place after I think everything else that's happened so far. And it talks about how humanity is starting to spread out more. And one of the issues with that is finding sources of water out in space. So there are companies that go out to distant planets and moons, sort of on the rim of colonized space, to find sources of water. Not necessarily to live there, but to be able to gather the water and export it if necessary. So this is a planet that's covered, or it's a moon covered in ice. So it's about a survey team that's trying to see if they can find pockets of water. And sure enough, guess what they find instead? And guess who finds out? Yes, so they find something that they don't know about, right? Because overall the existence of xenomorphs are not known. But they find a facehugger frozen in ice, and they report it to their company that they work for. I don't remember the name of the company, but Weyland-Yutani finds out about it. They buy the company so that everything that they find they own, and it starts off from there. I'm real excited to see where this goes. It's looking to be a very interesting story. Invincible Iron Man number five. So the villain here, I can't remember his name, but apparently he wasn't. He's not new. He has faced the X-Men before, and I don't really read X-Men titles, so I'm not super familiar. But he has taken over Stark Industries, and he wants to kind of be the savior of the world. He wants to be what Tony wasn't, and for some reason that means wanting to destroy Tony Stark. So in this, Tony visits Krakoa, talks with Emma Frost to say, "Hey, look, I know you face this guy. What can you tell me about him?" So it's a little bit of setup and and more. So I can't remember his name, but the villain finds something that was intended for Tony that Tony didn't know about. Something that seems very, very important. And yes, again, really excited to see where that goes. I was on the fence about picking up the new Iron Man title. It's been a long time since I read Iron Man. Every time I thought about picking it up, it seemed like it was deep in other stuff I didn't know about. So I kind of put it off. With this new series, it looked like, okay, this is, I can get caught up. Tony is, it's all about Tony Iron Man, the one that I just kind of know about. And it seemed like a really good start, jumping on point. And I was right. It is. And if you're curious about getting it, it is a good jumping on point. The issues probably aren't hard to find. It's only issue 5, so it shouldn't be hard to get caught up with it. But I do really enjoy it. When I was growing up, Iron Man was my favorite. Then he wasn't, and I didn't read him for a while, but I'm glad that I'm back reading that. Next, Strange Academy Finals number 6. So this is the end of not only this arc, which wrapped in the arc that wraps up the entire Strange Academy. Everything does get wrapped up. I think it gets wrapped up very nicely. There's some very sweet moments in there, and I don't want to give too much away, but I'm very satisfied with the way that it ends. If you haven't read Strange Academy, I do highly suggest it. It is nice to know that there is at least a pseudo end to it. It's not necessarily over, but it's over for now. And it was a great story all the way through. The writing was great. The art was great. I do love Scotty Young, both as a writer and an artist. Okay, I might have lied a little bit about everything being really good. Hulk number 14. So, talking about Hulk multiple times. I got back on... I dropped Hulk because it was awful. When it was given... The reins were given over to Ryan Ottley to clean it up, wrap it up. And you know what? I'll jump back on, not because the story's good, but I want to see how things get wrapped up so I can easily jump on to whatever comes next for Hulk. And this does it for the most part. I still have some questions, but he's not a spaceship anymore. That's what's most important. So I don't put the blame of this story not wrapping up or not being good on Otley. And he had to do the same thing that many others have to do with Donny Cates, is take over and try to right the ship with what they've been given. Not an easy task. I would argue an impossible task. But he does as good as he can, and I commend him for what he was able to do. I would definitely not want that job. It seems to be, I think Marvel should probably hire someone specifically to be like, okay, you're the Donny Cates cleanup person. If we're going to let Donny Cates do whatever, surely we're going to have someone come and clean it up. Because it's garbage. Daredevil 10, this whole storyline is great. It comes to a bit of a head. There's not ultimate closure, but, and I wouldn't even say the storyline is wrapped up, but it's definitely wrapping up a little bit. In this issue, the previous issue ended with, who was it? Cap, Spidey, Iron Man, maybe someone else confronting him, being like, look, man, what you're doing is not great. Which I could see going either way. I understand what Matt's trying to do, giving villains another chance, but he did break them out in order to do that. So, but Daredevil is absolutely fantastic. Deadpool 6. I'm continuing to enjoy this as well. I really like this relationship between him and what's her name, Valentine. I think it's really sweet, and stuff that goes on around it is a lot of fun too. This the Altier assassins, where he was trying to get to join it alongside the Lady Deathstrike. This is a date issue, and it's really cute and really sweet. Lady Deathstrike's there and is also very sweet. I really enjoyed that issue as well. Mary Jane and Black Cat number 5. This is the end of this arc, or this limited. I think it's just going to be another Mary Jane Black Cat limited. I don't think there's a number 6, but at the very least, this arc is finished, and it's fine. The issue I have with this, I like Mary Jane and Black Cat teaming up. Through this arc, there was a lot of them resolving kind of what's going on with Peter between themselves. I like the characters. Aside from the characters, I thought the story was interesting. I don't think that Black Cat and Mary Jane have any business doing anything in limbo. That is not the right place for them. And it works out. It's fine. It's interesting. It's just a very odd environment for them to be doing things, because they're not really that level of hero. And Mary Jane is hardly any kind of hero at all. She is jackpot. She has her jackpot powers. So that is there. There is some interesting interaction between Black Cat and Mary Jane's powers, because Mary Jane's powers are luck-based, and Black Cat, of course, manipulates luck. So that led to some really good moments. But overall, I enjoyed it. It seemed a bit out of place. It was also a big week for Turtles. All of the Turtles books came out this week. So we have, I'll start with Last Ronin, Lost Year. So learning how Michelangelo became the Last Ronin. He's getting training and all this. It's interesting. It's good. It's not as good as The Last Ronin proper. I never expected it to be. That is a tall order to do. But I do enjoy seeing this background. So I think if you did like Last Ronin, that this is definitely worth reading. Then we have the third to last and second to last entries in Armageddon Game. There's some really good moments in here as far as not seeing things coming. Some big things happen, and we're obviously at the end. There's one more issue left, Armageddon Game number 8. I have enjoyed it. I do think it's long in the tooth, but some of the story beats that have come out of it, with different allies becoming different people becoming allies that normally wouldn't be, people changing alliances at interesting times, is also added to the fun of it. But I am ready to see one, how it concludes, and what the world is going to look like after Armageddon Game. I don't know if anyone's really sure what that's going to look like, because a lot of things have changed during the event. So that's everything I had on poll. So that normally would have been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 book week, which is already pretty large. There are some things that I picked up that I should have gotten before. So I had been reading the John Kent Superman, which ended. I hadn't realized that a new series had come up and it didn't get transferred over to this when the previous one ended, and I just missed that it came out. And so this should have been on my poll file, but it wasn't. So I think issue 2 came out this week, or do I see this on the? I think I saw this on the shelf, the previous week's shelf. So I don't think either of these came. Well, obviously number 1 didn't come out this week, but I don't think number 2 came out this week either. But I happened to catch them when I was looking at something else. I don't know. And I'm like, oh crap, that's a thing. And luckily, one of my stores had both 1 and 2, so I picked that up, and it was great. I'm glad. Like Williamson, I think is who was writing it before, is continuing, and it's awesome. There's something going on with John Kent in his powers, which is kind of suggested by the front cover here. And as we see on the second one, behind him we see Ultraman. So Ultraman is up to bad stuff. Apparently he's universe hopping and killing Supermans. So Superman Clark is out in space, I believe. John is warned about it by, not wanting to spoil things, somebody, and it's a really interesting point where so John doesn't know who this other person is, and it very easily, in most cases, would have led to superheroes fighting each other because they don't know, where this other person's like, hey, can we just talk? And John's like, yeah, let's just talk. He's like, I'm not all for that, like, punch first, ask questions later. So I was like, okay, good. Not falling into that old trope, which I thought was a good moment. But yes, this was good. I'm definitely going to be continuing with that. And the other two things, one I think was on the shelf, was Venom Lethal Protector #2. I do usually get these Venom limited series, so I went and picked up the #1, and so I got 1 and 2 and added it to my pull. Getting the Momoko #1, of course, because I try to do that whenever I can. I'm trying to stay away from limited series, but there are some exceptions, and Venom is one of those. He just comes out with limited series one after another, so it's kind of like I get a Venom ongoing, basically is what it is. And this one I had missed. So that was me rectifying a previous wrong. And the other thing that I got was new this week. There hasn't been one on the shelf for a while. It's one of the DC heroes that I do really, really enjoy, and that is Green Arrow. So when it comes to DC, I don't get a lot. I'll always get Aquaman. I'll always have some amount of Batman, and then I'll always also get Green Arrow ongoings if they have them. John Kent is sort of new to be adding to that list, and he's not like an official staple that I will always read John Kent. He is my preferred Superman. But for now, he's like, I'm getting it because I like the book. Green Arrow, I'll always jump on. I love Green Arrow. I love his family, much like the Bat family. I think Green Arrow is more interesting than Batman. Not to say that I don't like Batman, obviously I do. But I do like Green Arrow a bit more. So when this came out, like, it's been forever since there's been a Green Arrow, at least an Ollie Green Arrow book. So I jumped on that and not disappointed. I thought it was great. Also Williamson. So that was another like. Oh, this is Williamson. This is Taylor, who I think was on the previous one. I was thinking Williamson because of this, but I do like Williamson. Williamson was on Robin. What was I reading DC recently that I really like Williamson? Yeah. But this was great. I'm not real sure what's going on. I don't think we're supposed to know what's going on quite yet, but it does look interesting. And I believe that's it. That was kind of enough for me. I didn't want to push it by trying to find anything else. Toys or other things or key comics or whatever. So it ended up being a big week. So 16 books. It took me a little bit to get through, but it was worth it. I did enjoy most of it. Again, Hulk, it's hard to enjoy because of how it is right now, but that's done. Hulk does leave off, as I mentioned, some questions, and it does leave off of it at a point to lead into something else. I'm excited to see what that's going to be, because I love Hulk, and it cannot possibly get worse. So, only up from here. But overall, it was a heavy week, but a good week that I did enjoy. No regrets. No regrets on what I ended up picking up. So that's all. Let me know your thoughts for this week. Thoughts on what I picked up. etc., etc., etc. Like, comment, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.